The orbital nursery station Epsilon, they hummed with the quiet sounds of sleeping infants. Soft blue lights pulsed along the curved walls, mimicking Earth's day-night cycle. Dr. Lena Vasquez adjusted the blanket around a squirming 2-month-old, her fingers brushing the biometric bracelet that displayed the baby's vitals. Everything was nominal, just like the other 11 human infants in her care. A sharp chime echoed through the nursery's main hall. The doors slid open without warning. Silver-clad figures marched in, their elongated limbs moving with mechanical precision. At their head stood Counselor Vexlan, his Zephyrian carapace gleaming under the station lights. 4 additional arms folded behind his back in what passed for diplomatic posture among his species. "Dr. Vasquez," he said, his voice a synthesized approximation of human speech. "By order of Galactic Child Services, these facilities are now under Federation jurisdiction." Lena stepped between the aliens and the rows of sleeping pods. "What the hell are you talking about? This is a human-run station." Vexlan's antennae twitched. A holographic decree materialized above his palm, stamped with the insignia of the Galactic Federation. "Analysis of human developmental patterns indicates unacceptable risk factors. Fragile bone density, underdeveloped immune systems. Your young require proper oversight." Nurse Krell, a hulking Vorak medic, snorted from the corner. His bifurcated jaw flexed in what might have been amusement. "They break if you drop them, saw it in the reports." Lena's hands clenched. "Our children are perfectly healthy. This station meets all. The decision is final," Vexlan interrupted. He gestured, and the silver-clad attendants moved forward, their multi-jointed fingers already extending retrieval tools. "These infants will be relocated to Zenthis Academy for optimal species development." One of the babies began to cry. Then another. The sound seemed to unsettle the aliens. Human distress frequencies weren't part of their training. Lena lunged for the nearest pod, but a Zephyrian attendant blocked her with a limb that shouldn't have bent that way. "You can't just take them." Vexlan examined a data tablet utterly unfazed. "Correction, we already have. Galactic Child Services exists to protect vulnerable young, regardless of species sentimentality." The attendants worked with terrifying efficiency. Pod by pod, the infants were transferred to sterile containment units, their tiny limbs flailing against the unfamiliar restraints. Lena caught a glimpse of baby Alex Carter, just 6 months old, staring wide-eyed at the alien faces looming over him, his tiny fingers pressed against the transparent barrier. "Please," Lena whispered, her voice breaking. "Their parents entrusted them to us, not to you." Vexlan's mandibles clicked. A regrettable oversight. Human caretakers lacked the necessary biological enhancements to ensure proper development. He turned to leave, the stolen children floating behind him in their gleaming cages. They will be raised according to Federation standards, stronger, smarter properly. The nursery doors sealed with a hiss. Lena sagged against the nearest pod, its warmth already fading. The silence was worse than the crying. Across the room, Nurse Krell shifted uncomfortably, his claws scraping the floor. "Didn't think they'd actually do it," he muttered. Lena's comm unit buzzed. A message from Earth Command flagged urgent. She opened it with trembling fingers. "GCS operation, unauthorized. Mobilizing response, do not engage." Too late, she stared at the empty pods, the scattered blankets, the abandoned toys. 12 human infants, gone. And somewhere in the depths of space, Counselor Vexlan smugly reviewed his mission report. Human young secured, no resistance encountered, proceeding to Zenthis Academy for Phase 1 conditioning. The GCS facility on Zenthis was a monument to efficiency, cold, sterile, and utterly devoid of warmth. Towering silver walls hummed with hidden machinery, their surfaces so polished they reflected the tiny faces of the human infants being processed. Dr. Lena Vasquez's protest still echoed in the air, but the Zephyrian bureaucrats had already moved on. The children were no longer her concern. Subjector Faye droned a mechanical voice as a robotic arm lifted baby Alex Carter from the transport pod. The infant blinked up at the harsh lights, his tiny fists clenching. Designation: Human Biological Risk Factors. High Recommended Containment Protocol. Alpha Phi Counselor Vexlan watched from the observation deck, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. Pathetic, he murmured to Nurse Krell, who stood beside him, a Vorak carapace clicking softly. Look at them. No natural armor, no venom sacs. Their bones might as well be glass. Krell's antennae twitched. They are mammals, Counselor. Their strength lies in nothing. Vexlan interrupted. Which is why we will make them something. The infants were placed in transparent cribs, each monitored by a swarm of drones. The room temperature was set to a precise Phi, 8 degrees Celsius, optimal for Zephyrian physiology, chilly for humans. Alex shivered, his breath fogging the crib's surface. By age 2, the children were walking. By 3, they were running, faster than the instructors expected. Gravity maze test, announced Instructor Zorath, his Arcturan bulk casting a shadow over the training yard. The maze was a standard Federation evaluation tool, a shifting labyrinth of platforms, each with its own gravitational pull. Most species needed weeks to master it. Zephyrian toddlers, with their natural magnetic senses, navigated it effortlessly. A young Vorak managed a clumsy but passable attempt. Then it was Alex's turn. The other instructors scoffed. Hell freeze at the first drop. Muttered one. Alex didn't freeze. He leaped, not away from the shifting platforms, but into their rhythm. His tiny hands caught edges. No one else saw. His feet found purchase where there shouldn't have been any. When a platform suddenly inverted, he didn't panic. He rolled, landing in a crouch on the next surface. The observation deck fell silent. Zorath's crest flared red. Impossible. He's never trained for this. Krell's mandibles parted slightly. He's 3. Alex reached the end of the maze and turned, grinning. Not a scratch on him. The other human children followed, each adapting in their own way. Mirachen used the walls like a ladder. Javier Ruiz timed his jumps to the platform rotations. By the end of the session, all 12 humans had completed the maze. Unaided Zorath stormed into the nursery that night, his bioluminescent stripes pulsing with anger. You will explain, he demanded, looming over Alex's crib. Alex blinked up at him, sucking his thumb. How? Zorath snarled. The toddler removed his thumb. Easy, he said, in startlingly clear Galactic standard. You just look first. Zorath recoiled. Human speech development wasn't due for another year. The tests grew harder. Strength assessments, endurance trials, cognitive puzzles. Each time, the humans exceeded expectations. By age 5, Alex could disassemble a Zephyrian datapad with his eyes closed. By 6, Head reprogrammed a cleaning drone to smuggle extra rations. They're cheating, Zorath insisted during a staff meeting. Krell examined the latest reports. No, they're adapting. Vexlan waved a dismissive hand. So they're clever. That means nothing in combat. The first combat simulation came at age 8. The children were pitted against each other in a holographic war zone. Zephyrians versus Vorak versus Arcturans. The humans were placed last as an afterthought. Activate scenario, Zorath ordered. The battlefield flickered to life, a ruined cityscape, perfect for ambushes. The alien teams moved with practiced precision, their tactics textbook. Perfect, the humans, chaos. Alex split his team into pairs, sending them scrambling through alleys and drainage pipes. They didn't engage head on, they lured. A Vorak patrol chased Mira into a dead end, only to find Javier waiting above, a makeshift slingshot in hand. Surprise, Javier said, and launched a pouch of powdered cleaning solvent. The Vorak shrieked as it reacted with their carapace, sending them into a frantic dance. Zorath's console exploded with alerts. This is not how war is waged. On the battlefield, Alex smirked. Then why did we win? The holograms froze. The humans stood victorious, their enemies neutralized. not through brute force, but through mischief. That night, the GCS revised their protocols. The human children were separated, their interactions monitored. Extra security drones patrolled their dormitory. Alex lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Next to him, Mira whispered, "They're scared of us." Alex smiled. Good. Far above, unnoticed by the drones, a cleaning bot whirred softly. Its programming subtly altered. A single word flashed across its hidden display. Ready. The training yard of Zenthis Academy buzzed with the hum of force fields and the sharp clicks of Zephyrian command rods against the polished obsidian floor. Instructor Zoroth loomed over the group of human children, his forearms crossed in disapproval. His carapace gleamed under the artificial sun, the deep purple of his exoskeleton marking his rank among the Arcturan military elite. "Today," Zoroth announced, his voice a grating rasp, "you will demonstrate why the Federation was correct in removing you from your primitive species. Combat simulation begins in 3 minutes. Failure is expected." Alex Carter, now 8 years old, stood at the front of the group. His dark eyes flicked across the arena, a mock battlefield of shifting gravity plates and holographic obstacles. The other human children clustered behind him, their faces set in quiet determination. They had learned early that showing fear only made the instructors push harder. Dravik, a hulking Vorak observer, leaned against the observation railing, his mandibles twitched in amusement. "Place your bets," he rumbled to a nearby Zephyrian aide. "I give them 30 seconds before the first one breaks." The simulation began with a piercing alarm. The holographic enemy, a squad of armored Federation drones, materialized at the far end of the yard, their weapons humming to life. The drones moved with programmed precision, their tactics pulled straight from the Galactic military handbook. Predictable. Alex didn't wait for orders. He grabbed Mira Chen's wrist and yanked her behind a low barrier, just as the first volley of stun bolts sizzled overhead. "They always start with suppression fire," he muttered. "Same pattern every time." Mira nodded, her fingers already working at the panel of a discarded training remote. "Give me 10 seconds. The other children scattered, not in panic, but in practiced chaos. Some feigned retreat, luring the drones into narrow corridors where their formation broke. Others used the gravity plates to their advantage, flipping switches that sent the machines careening into walls. Zoroth's antennae twitched violently. "What is this?" he snarled. "This is not stand and fight properly." From his vantage point, Lulti Dravik's amusement faded. The drones were falling. One by one, not to superior firepower, but to tricks. A tripwire made from a torn uniform here. A gravity trap triggered by a thrown boot there. Then came the toys. A small spherical device rolled into the center of the drone squad. It beeped once, a cheerful, innocent sound, before erupting in a blinding flash. The drones staggered, their sensors overloaded. Alex lunged, snatching a stun rod from a disabled drone. He swung it like a bat, cracking it across the last drone's core. The machine sparked and collapsed. Silence. The observation deck erupted in murmurs. Zephyrian aides exchanged stunned glances. Even the ever-composed Latravik straightened, his claws tightening around the railing. Zoroth stormed onto the field, his carapace darkening with fury. "This is not how war is waged," he bellowed, looming over Alex. "You cheat. You hide. Where is the honor, the discipline?" Alex wiped sweat from his brow, his breathing steady. He met Zoroth's glare without flinching. "Then why did we win?" The question hung in the air like a detonation waiting to happen. Zoroth's mandibles clicked in frustration. "You children are a disgrace to, sir." Dravik's voice cut through the tension. He stepped forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the group. They defeated a squad rated for cadet, level combatants, in half the expected time. Zoroth whirled on him, by breaking every rule. Dravik's compound eyes gleamed, or rewriting them. The children exchanged glances. They had learned the hard way that the Federation's rules were designed to keep them in line. But rules, Alex had realized, were just another thing humans were good at bending. That night, in the dim glow of their shared quarters, Mira whispered, "They're scared of us." Alex stared at the ceiling, his mind already racing ahead. "Good," he said. "Let them be." The next morning, the training simulations were reprogrammed. The drones no longer followed predictable patterns. The obstacles shifted at random. The instructors watched closer than ever. But Alex had already learned the most important lesson. The moment they changed the game was the moment they admitted they'd lost the first one. The facility lights dimmed for night cycle, casting long shadows across the sterile white corridors. Alex Carter pressed his back against the cold wall, his 12-year-old fingers dancing across the surface of a stolen maintenance tablet. The other 11 human children crouched in the darkness around him, their breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through their veins. "They rotate the guard drones every 37 minutes, Alex whispered, his eyes never leaving the screen. "We've got a 4-minute window when the west corridor goes unmanned." Mira Chen, her dark hair tied back in a practical knot, peered over his shoulder. "That is not enough time to reach the hangar. It is if we trigger the fire suppression system first." Alex's grin was all teeth. Click's units prioritize environmental threats over intruders. Learned that when Zoroth tried to gas us in the sim chamber last month, a nervous chuckle ran through the group. The Zephyrians had been so confident their optimal upbringing would produce perfect little soldiers. They hadn't counted on human children being experts at breaking rules. The tablet beeped softly. Alex's fingers flew across the interface, splicing into the facility's outdated security grid. "Got it, Mira. Take Team 2 and disable the maglocks on service. Hatch 9, Jaden. You're on distraction duty." Jaden Rodriguez, the smallest of them but with the loudest voice, cracked his knuckles. "How loud do you want it? Loud enough to make Zoroth cry." Alex handed him a makeshift device cobbled together from a nutrient dispenser and 3 stolen power cells. "Remember, throw and run. Don't stop to admire your work." The children moved like ghosts through the sleeping facility. Years of sneaking extra rations and avoiding punishment had turned them into experts at evasion. The Zephyrians had given them military training, but survival had taught them guerrilla tactics. Mira's team reached the service hatch just as the klaxons blared to life. Jaden's device had detonated in the recreation chamber, sending a shower of sparks across the hologame projectors. Across the facility, Guardian Click's units whirred into action, their red sensor lights scanning for the threat. "Now!" Alex hissed. The children poured through the hatch, their bare feet silent on the metal grating. The service tunnels were narrow and poorly lit, exactly why the GCs had forbidden them from entering, which of course meant the humans had mapped every centimeter years ago. They reached the secondary hangar just as the first security override warnings flashed on Alex's tablet. "They know we're gone," he muttered. "Faster." The hangar contained a single personnel shuttle, its smooth silver hull gleaming under the emergency lights. The children swarmed over it like ants, prying open access panels with stolen tools. Mira wedged herself into the cockpit, her fingers dancing across the unfamiliar controls. "Can you fly this thing?" Alex asked, keeping watch at the door. Mira's grin was feral. "They taught us superior naval theory, remember? How hard can it be?" The shuttle's engines whined to life just as the first Click's unit rounded the corner. Alex didn't hesitate. He slammed the release button for the hangar doors, sending the drone tumbling into the vacuum of space. The sudden decompression alarm nearly deafened them all. "Go," Alex shouted, leaping into the closing shuttle door. The craft lurched forward, its primitive inertial dampeners struggling to compensate for Mira's aggressive piloting. Behind them, the GCS facility shrank rapidly, its comm channels exploding with angry Zephyrian voices. "Unidentified shuttle, you are in violation of Galactic Child Services Protocol. Fay return immediately or face severe consequences." Alex leaned over Mira's shoulder and keyed the comb. "Sorry, busy being severely consequential." He shut off the transmitter before they could respond. The other children whooped as the shuttle broke orbit, the blue curve of Xanthus falling away beneath them. Jaden pulled a hidden stash of nutrient bars from his jumpsuit and started passing them around. "So," he said around a mouthful of processed algae, "where is home?" Alex studied the star charts flickering across the shuttle's navigation display. The Zephyrians had never shown them a galactic map, but they'd left enough clues in their lessons. He tapped a yellow star near the edge of the display. "Their Sol system. That is where we're from." Mira adjusted their course, her hands steady on the controls. "It'll take weeks at this speed. They'll send ships after us. Let them." Alex leaned back in the co-pilot's seat, watching the stars streak past. "We've been training for this our whole lives." The shuttle's comm crackled again, this time with a deeper, more authoritative voice. "Human children, this is Fleet Commander Rinthar. You are making a grave mistake. Return now, and your punishment will be minimal." Alex keyed the mic one last time. "You wanted soldiers, Commander. You got us." He ripped the comm unit from its housing, sparks flying. "Now let's see how you like fighting what you created." The shuttle jumped to FTL, leaving Xanthus and its shocked alien overseers far behind. In the cargo hold, the other children were already planning their next move. They'd been raised as weapons. Now it was time to choose their own target. The stolen shuttle drifted through the void, its improvised navigation systems barely holding course. Inside, 12-year-old Alex Carter monitored the flickering display, fingers dancing across jury-rigged controls. Mira Chen handed him a protein bar stolen from the GCS facility. "We're running low," she whispered. Alex didn't look up. "We'll make it." A proximity alarm blared on the cracked view screen. A massive shape blotted out the stars. The USN Defiance, a human-heavy cruiser, locked onto them with targeting scanners. A voice crackled over the comm. "Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Elias Grant of the United Earth Space Navy. Cut your engines and prepare for boarding." Mira grabbed Alex's arm. "They'll send us back." Alex switched to transmit. "Captain Grant. This is Alex Carter. We're human. The GCS took us when we were babies. We're going home." "Silence then." "Say that again." Alex repeated their story. The comm stayed dead for 3 heartbeats before Grant's voice returned. "Rougher, stand by for docking, and Kid, welcome to Earth's side of the line." Aboard the Defiance, the crew stared as the shuttle's hatch opened. 12 children, malnourished but standing straight, marched out in perfect formation. Captain Grant, a grizzled veteran with scars across his jaw, knelt to meet Alex's eyes. "You stole a GCS shuttle." Alex nodded. "We modified the nav systems too." Grant's XO Commander Hale muttered, "Holy hell." The captain stood, barking orders. "Medical teams, now get these kids checked, and someone raise fleet command. We've got a situation." Before anyone could move, the tactical officer shouted, "Captain, Zephyrian battle group decloaking off our port bow." The bridge view screen lit up with 6 angular warships, their purple hulls gleaming. A transmission screeched through. "Wezen vessel, this is Admiral Rinthar of the Zephyrian Third Fleet. You are harboring stolen Federation property. Surrender the children immediately." Grant's knuckles whitened around his command chair. "Admiral, these are human children." Rinthar's scaled face filled the screen, his slit pupils narrowing. "They were placed under Galactic Child Services protection. Their development is Federation jurisdiction." Alex stepped forward, small beside the towering officers. "We were kidnapped." Rinthar didn't even glance at him. "Captain Grant, this is your final warning. Hand them over, or we will board your ship." Grant looked at Alex, really looked. Saw the scars from training accidents, the 2 old eyes. He turned back to the screen. "Admiral, with all due respect, go to hell." The channel cut alarms wailed as the Zephyrian ships powered weapons. "Shields up," Grant roared. "Helm, evasive pattern Delta, get a distress call to Sol Command." The Defiance shuddered as the first plasma volley hit. Alex clung to a console, watching the crew scramble. Captain, their weak spot is the ventral thruster array. Their shielding's thinner there. Grant blinked. How do you? Superior tactical manuals. Standard training at the academy. Alex's voice was ice. Give me a console. Commander Hale moved before Grant could answer, shoving Alex into a sensor station. The boy's hands flew across the controls. Their flagship's targeting sensors are slave to the lead ship. If we fake a reactor overload here, the Defiance jerked as another blast rocked them. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Do it, Grant said. Alex input the commands. On screen, the Defiance's energy signature spiked wildly. The Zeperian ships hesitated. Just for a second. Now, Alex yelled. Grant didn't hesitate. All batteries fire at the lead ship's ventral array. The Defiance's railguns roared. The Zeperian flagship's engines exploded in a chain reaction, sending it spinning out of formation. The remaining ships broke off, scrambling to regroup. Silence fell on the bridge. Grant turned to Alex. You just outmaneuvered a Zeperian battle group. Alex met his gaze. They taught us to think like them. Big mistake. A new voice crackled over the comm. Wasn't Defiance. This is Admiral Singh of the Sol Defense Fleet. We're reading multiple hostile contacts at your location. Hold position. Reinforcements inbound. Grant exhaled. Copy that, Admiral. And sir, tell command we've got 12 VEPs aboard. Alex watched the stars through the damaged view screen. For the first time in his life, they felt like they belonged to him. Mira squeezed his hand. What now? Alex smiled. Now we go to war. The chamber of the Galactic High Court hummed with tension, its curved walls lined with representatives from every major species in the Federation. The air smelled of ozone and something faintly metallic, the scent of power and politics. Alex Carter stood at the center of it all, now 18 years old, his spine straight and his eyes burning with a quiet fury. The scars from his time in the GCS facility were hidden beneath his formal uniform, but the weight of them pressed against his ribs like old friends. High Justice Velis loomed above him, her massive cephalopod form suspended in a nutrient tank, her tentacles drifting lazily in the blue-tinged fluid. Her voice boomed through the chamber, amplified by hidden speakers. The Federation charges the human species with theft of Federation property. Specifically, the 12 children removed from GCS custody. How do you plead? Alex didn't hesitate. Not guilty. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Zeperian delegates clicked their mandibles in disapproval. Vorak observers crossed their armored arms. Councillor Vexlan, the same silver-uniformed bureaucrat who had taken them all those years ago, stepped forward. His 4 eyes narrowed. The children were legally remanded to Galactic Child Services for their own protection. Their escape constitutes a criminal act. They are Federation assets, and their return is non-negotiable. Alex's fingers twitched. He had practiced this moment in his head 1,000 times. Assets, he repeated, his voice dangerously calm. Is that what we were to you, inventory? Vexlan didn't flinch. Your species is fragile. Your young require supervision. The GCS provided. You provided nothing. Alex cut in. His words were sharp, precise. You took us from our families. You locked us in a facility. You trained us like soldiers. And now you have the audacity to call us thieves. The chamber fell silent. High Justice Velis stirred, her tentacles coiling. Do you have evidence to support your claims, human? Alex reached into the pocket of his uniform and pulled out a small data chip. He held it up, letting the light glint off its surface. This is every classified GCS file from the last 20 years. Every medical report, every training log, every lie. He slotted it into the court's projection terminal. The holograms flared to life above them. Images flickered, medical scans of human children, subjected to gravity tests meant for adult Arcturans. Footage of 8-year-olds forced into combat simulations against fully grown Zeperian cadets. And then, most damning of all, a single document stamped with the GCS seal. Subjects, human cohort Epsilon. Face status, Parents deceased, false objective. Military assimilation, the chamber erupted. Alex waited for the noise to die down before speaking again. You never cared about protecting us. You wanted to weaponize us, but Hera's the thing you didn't understand. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper that carried through the entire room. Human children, remember? The screen changed again. A list of names appeared, human names. And beside each one, a living parent, a family, a home. My mother, Alex said, pointing to the file marked Carter. Lena, alive, Earth. She never stopped looking for me. None of them did. Vexlan's face darkened. This proves nothing. The GCS acted within its rights. Your rights? Alex laughed. A cold, hollow sound. You stole us, you lied, and you dare call us thieves. High Justice Velis raised a tentacle, silencing the room. Her ancient eyes studied Alex for a long moment. Then slowly she turned to Vexlan. Counselor, explain this. Vexlan's mandibles twitched. The files are classified, misinterpreted. The humans are twisting the facts. Twisting. Alex snapped. He tapped the terminal again. The screen shifted to a video feed, a recording from the night of their escape. 12-year-old Alex, his hands steady as he rewired a security panel. Mira Chen, a small frame darting through the shadows. The GCS guards, oblivious, their arrogance, their downfall. And then, clear as starlight, Vexlan's voice over the comms. Find them. They are too valuable to lose. The chamber went utterly still. Alex let the silence stretch. Then he turned to High Justice Velis. You asked how we plead. Ill answer now. He straightened his shoulders. Not guilty, and we demand justice. For the first time in living memory, the Galactic High Court had no reply. The orbital shipyards of Earth glowed like a constellation of fireflies against the black. Drones swarmed between skeletal gantries, welding plates onto the growing hull of the USN Retribution. Admiral Alex Carter floated in the observation deck, her reflection ghostly against the reinforced glass. The scars on her knuckles from childhood gravity, mazes and stolen shuttle controls, itched as she watched her dreadnought take shape. Admiral. The voice came from behind her. Fleet Admiral Rinther of the Superior Third Fleet stood rigid in his silver battle harness, his 4 eyes narrowed. This is an unexpected development. Alex didn't turn. You gave us 12 children. We're returning 12 capital ships. She tapped the glass where the Retribution's spinal railgun was being calibrated. With interest, Rinthar's mandibles twitched. The Federation had spent decades dismissing human shipyards as primitive, but the Retribution's design was unmistakable. A hybrid of stolen Arcturan plasma conduits, Vorak stealth coatings, and human improvisation. The Zepyrian's voice dripped with forced calm. The Council demands you stand down. Your fleet violates the treaty of... the same treaty that let you steal us. Alex finally turned. Her uniform bore no medals, just a single patch stitched by a now-dead nurse from Epsilon Phi. We read the fine print, Rinther. Turns out, rescued assets have inheritance rights. A console chimed Lieutenant Chen, once the toddler who'd outmaneuvered Superior gravity grids spoke over comms. Admiral, we've got signatures at the Neptune marker. 3 Federation battleships, holding position. Alex smiled. Right on schedule. Rinthar's claws unsheathed. You can't win this. Even with stolen tech, your crews are green. Your tactics are yours. Alex activated the observation deck's holodisplay. Schematics of the Retribution unfolded, revealing its core, a reverse-engineered Superior warp drive, jury rigged to human power cells. You trained us, remember, proper military discipline. The display flickered to show the Neptune approach vector. The 3 Federation ships, Judicator, Lawbringer, Sanction, hovered in textbook formation. Perfect, predictable. Alex tapped her comm. Chen, execute protocol cradle. Silence. Then, the Retribution's engines flared. Not the sluggish warm-up Federation tacticians expected, but an instant ignition, courtesy of modified Vorak startup sequences. The dreadnought lunged forward, its railgun charging with a whine that vibrated through the stations. Bones, Rintha stumbled. Impossible, your power grid should overload. Yeah, your engineers thought so too. Alex watched the tactical feed as the Retribution split formation. Her escort frigates Vanguard, stalwart, reckoning, flanking wide. Turns out human reactors like being pushed past spec. On screen, the Federation ships scrambled. Their shields flared as the Retribution's railgun discharged. Not at the lead vessel, but at the empty space between them. The superheated slug detonated a pre-planted minefield, sending shockwaves through the Lawbringer's stabilizers. Gravity mines, Rintha whispered. But those are Archeron, stolen from Zenthis Academy's training vaults. Alex zoomed in as the Vanguard launched boarding pods straight into the Judicator's suddenly unshielded hangar bay. Funny thing about proper upbringing, teaches you where they keep the keys. Alarms blared across the station as more signatures appeared, not just the Retribution's fleet, but a second wave emerging from behind Luna's shadow, dreadnoughts, carriers, all bearing the jagged insignia of the United Earth Stellar Navy. Rinthar's comlink crackled. A Zephyrian voice screamed, "They're everywhere," before cutting to static. Alex stepped closer, her boots magnetizing to the deck. "You came to demand surrender. Here is my counteroffer." She gestured to the holodisplay, where the Federation ships were being systematically disabled, engines targeted, weapons depots EMPD, life support untouched. Tell the Council they have 6 hours to withdraw from Sol after that. She nodded to the Retribution's railgun, cycling for another shot. "We start teaching." The Zephyrian's carapace darkened with dread. "This is madness. You're outnumbered 100 to 1. Alex activated the fleet-wide channel. Every human ship responded in unison, their transmitters overriding Federation frequencies. A chorus of voices, some young, some old, all forged in the same crucible, echoed, "We know." Rintha staggered back. The tactical display now showed the real numbers, not just Sol's defenses, but the silent armadas mustering at Alpha Centauri, Tau Ceti, Sirius. Ships built in secret, crewed by orphans. Alex leaned in, her voice a blade. "We learned from the best. You." Outside, the Retribution's railgun fired again. This time, it didn't miss. The Zephyrian armada filled the view screen of the Retribution, thousands of warships blotting out the stars. Admiral Alex Carter leaned forward in her command chair, fingers steepled. The bridge crew waited in tense silence. "Status report," she said, voice calm. "Federation fleet at 90% combat readiness," Lieutenant Chen answered. "They're holding position at the edge of the system. Grand Admiral Vexlan is hailing us," Comms Officer Ruiz added. Alex exhaled. "Put him through." The main screen flickered. Vexlan's scaled face appeared. His frills flared in aggression. "Admiral Carter, surrender your fleet immediately. You are outmatched." Alex smiled. "Are we?" Vexlan's slit pupils narrowed. "This is your final warning. The Federation does not tolerate rebellion." Behind Alex, Captain Elias Grant muttered, "She'll thought of that before kidnapping kids." Alex ignored him, keeping her eyes locked on Vexlan. "You took 12 human infants because you thought we were weak. You raised us to be weapons, and now you're surprised we turned those weapons on you." Vexlan hissed. "Enough, all ships, open fire." The screen cut to black as the Zephyrian fleet unleashed their first volley. "Evasive pattern Delta." Alex barked. The Retribution lurched as it spun away from the incoming plasma fire. Across the fleet, human ships moved in perfect sync, weaving through the barrage like dancers. "Return fire full spread," Alex ordered. The human fleet answered. Railgun rounds tore through Zephyrian shields. Missiles streaked past, detonating against hulls. The void lit up with explosions. "Direct hit on their lead cruiser," Chen shouted. Alex watched as the Superior formation wavered. They're regrouping. Push forward. Don't let them breathe. The human fleet advanced, relentless. Where the Federation fought with rigid discipline, humans adapted. Ships broke formation, only to strike from unexpected angles. Fighters launched feints, drawing fire while bombers slipped through the gaps. Vexilon's voice crackled over an open channel. "This is impossible. Your tactics are yours," Alex interrupted. "You trained us, remember?" A massive explosion rocked the Retribution. Alarms blared. "Shields at 40%. Ruiz called. Alex gripped her armrests. "Where did that come from?" "New contact." Chen's voice rose. "It is the Dominance, Vexilon's flagship." The screen flickered back to life. Vexilon's face was twisted in fury. "You will not humiliate us, human." Alex smirked. "Too late." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target their engines. Disable, don't destroy." The officer hesitated. "Admiral, I want him alive." The Retribution's main cannons charged. A single precise shot lanced out, shearing through the Dominance's propulsion systems. The massive ship listed dead in space. Across the battlefield, the remaining Federation ships faltered. One by one, their weapons fell silent. "It is over," Grant said quietly. Alex stood. "Prepare a boarding party. I'm going over there." The Dominance's bridge was eerily quiet when Alex stepped onto it. Superior crew members lay injured or unconscious. At the center of the chaos, Vexilon slumped in his command throne, a jagged piece of shrapnel embedded in his side. Alex approached, boots clicking against the deck. "You lost." Vexilon coughed, green blood flecking his lips. We only wanted to help." Alex crouched beside him, meeting his gaze. "So did we." She reached into her belt and pulled out a medkit. Vexilon flinched as she pressed a coagulant patch to his wound. "You're sparing me," he rasped. Alex stood. "No, I'm proving a point." She turned to her Marines. "Secure the ship. Take the Grand Admiral into custody." As they hauled Vexilon away, Grant joined her. "What now?" Alex watched the stars through the cracked viewport. "Now we rebuild on our terms." The war was over. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.